Welcome to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. I am your host, Marsha Van Weinsberg. I'm a business coach, speaker, and author of the best-selling book, When She Stopped Asking Why. On this podcast, we will use the tips, tools, and strategies used by myself and our speakers to break through and overcome the challenges in our lives. When we take radical responsibility of our choices, create boundaries, grow our courage, and practice self-care and letting go of what isn't ours to control, we can completely change our stories. When we take full ownership of our stories, we take back our personal power, and this allows us to impact, serve, and support others by showing them that they are not alone and helping them find freedom from their stories. When you own your choices, you truly own your life. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of Own Your Choices, Own Your Life. And today we are doing a really quick episode on what will they say? Because this is a question I get a lot, especially as we are diving into vulnerable stories and sharing more of ourselves, that it comes up of like, what will they say? What will people say? What will they think? And we let that paralyze us from showing up, from using our voice, from stepping into using our gifts that we have, and it literally blocks us. So I wanted to share a few thoughts on this because this question comes up so often, honestly. It can be as simple as worrying about who, like whether it's our friends, family, relatives, coworkers, or even strangers on the internet, because we honestly don't have to go very far to see people being literally almost shredded alive online for different opinions, for their posts, and etc. And I've even gone to a space sometimes of being in the space of sharing that this is my page, this is my post. And if you don't like it, that is completely fine, but you can also unfollow. And I've gotten to this space that when people unfollow, then that's okay, because we make space for the right people to connect with us. Let's talk a little bit about what will they say. First off, I would really, really challenge you to question, like, who are they? Who are they? So when you say, like, what will they say? Who are they actually? Like, who is that? Is it family? Is it friends? Do you have people in your life who are constantly giving judgment and all those things? Like, really define who they are. Here's a couple criteria that I use when it comes to this space is I ask myself, are they walking in my shoes? Are they walking alongside me? Are they in the arena with me? Are they on the arena floor with me? And if they are not, then no, thank you. I bless and release and move on, because their behavior speaks more about them than me. And that's fine, because we are going to push buttons. We are going to trigger people. These kinds of things are going to happen often. So it's up to us to decide how we respond to it and what we do. So that's the first thing that I would say is really define who they are. The other thing is let's be clear on the judgment piece, because no one will ever judge you more than what you're judging yourself. So a lot of times when we say they, it's actually us. Like, we're worried about how we're going to look, how we're going to be perceived, what people are going to think about us. So please don't put that blame back on other people when actually, like, it's your own judgment of yourself that is the thing that stops us from showing up, using our voice, and being seen. Next, entrepreneurship. It is one of the biggest learning curves that I have ever been on. It requires radical responsibility, ownership, letting go of control, asking for and allowing myself to receive help, consistent self-care practices, implementing boundaries, rinsing and repeat, and doing it every single day. I wouldn't change a thing. Is it easy? No, it's not. And this is where we have to dive in and know that it is more about us showing up, leading ourselves, being the leader that we can be, taking care of ourselves, pouring into our cup first, and then we show up and build the business, which is one of the reasons why in my signature program, Owning Your Story, when we do that, we actually really break down what the lessons of the story are and how we can get clear on what your messaging is and what you're the expert of and how you can connect with people. But the next step is teaching you how to fill your cup first, like really put those boundaries in place, understand what vulnerability is, really grow your courage, because you go first in your business. So you have to be in a space of trusting and knowing your voice to show up on social media and do a post when it's crickets, to show up and handle judgment of other people. It is a challenge. So you have to take care of you first. And that is pouring into you. That's a big part of entrepreneurship when it comes to learning how to share your story, go first, be vulnerable, and all of the things. Next, when it comes time for really getting clear on who they are, we just talked a little bit about judgment. The next thing is that knowing if you are like literally beige in everything that you say, your message isn't going to land either. So what I'm saying is, if you are really talking about the things that will push buttons, that will create change, you're going to create triggers. You're going to trigger people. And it's going to happen because many people are in their own space. Plus, I kind of feel like there's this open door that happens in social media that people are triggered constantly. Triggers, I've done probably one of the most common topics I've done podcast episodes on, but triggers are something that they're showing you that are wounds that need to be healed. And they also show you what is possible, because if someone else is triggering you, then more than likely, what's happening is she is showing you what is possible. She is showing you that this is something that you can create. And a lot of times we recognize someone else in what they're doing because our soul actually recognizes and goes, hey, you actually are capable of this too, if you decide to get down and do the work and actually show up and be consistent. So if those ideas are tapping you, then I want you to know something here. If they're tapping you on the shoulder to create something, to do something, it's your job, our job, to work through the limiting beliefs of knowing that we already have the skill set to bring the vision to life. You're being tapped on the shoulder because you're more than capable. You're more than capable. So as you step into this space and actually share your voice, what's going to happen is you will trigger people. And it took me a long time. I didn't know how to handle that. But then it came to a space of actually embracing like the triggers. Actually, I would, if you know me, you know, the triggers actually show that, I actually don't mind triggering people. And the reason is that's where we create change from. If we're all going to be beige and we're all going to say the exact same thing, and we're all going to be just this, like whitewash of everything, then our messages aren't going to land. If you try and speak to everyone, you literally will speak to no one because no one's going to hear you. So you can't be in a space of being so afraid of not speaking up or using your voice because no one's going to hear you either. So that's not going to move the needle forward for you. So those are a couple of tips and tricks that I do when I'm in a space of trying to figure out like, okay, what will they say? And I did this a lot in the beginning. Over time, it's just gotten to a space of I do these little check-ins, and the check-ins are they walking in my shoes? Are they living life beside me? Are they in the arena on the floor with me? If it's no, then okay, thank you. Thank you. But don't react with so much resistance and like over the top reactions, because that also tells you that you're holding on to some energy that's not serving you. And that is not the direction that you want to be in either. So I want you to really take through these tips. I would love to know how they land and how they work for you. And hopefully they will help you to shift through when you find yourself in a space of saying, what will they say? Because please don't let the theys stop you from building, which you, only you, are capable of creating in this world, in this life. And if you are in a space of thinking like, I wish I could do this, but I have to do this, and I don't get to do the things like that. If you're living in that comparison space, that judgment space, but deep down, you know you're meant for more, no one is going to come and do it for you. No one is. It's up to you to step up and actually do the work, show up. And honestly, for every time you are afraid of what they will say, I guarantee you there's a stranger out there who is going, thank God she said something, because now I know I'm not alone. Now I know it's not just me. Now I know I'm not the only one struggling. I promise. I can't even tell you how many times I see it and my clients see it, where they are in the space of going, thank you for speaking up and using your voice. And this is the work that I get to do, and I'm so grateful for it. Honestly, I love doing this. So if you want to join us in Owning Your Story program, you can join us in October. The link is in the show notes. This is one of the first things that we really dive into is teaching how to pull those lessons out, pour back into yourself, and then build that platform business to impact others. Because honestly, there is such a beautiful space of learning how to create a message and like literally take your pain and turn it into your purpose and create impact. Cannot wait to support you on this journey. Have an incredible day. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. If you love this episode, please submit a rating and review on iTunes, and please share it with someone you think could benefit from hearing this message or this podcast. I love connecting and meeting you, so please screenshot the episode and tag me on social media or Instagram stories at Marsha Van W. And until next time, remember, when you own your choices, you truly own your life.